That's never what you want to see under your Fleetwood. Lowrider problems. Well, Fleetwood problems. Yeah, guess we're going to be doing a water pump. What is going on? Today we got to pimp down. Got to do a water pump on this bad boy. Haven't been looking forward to it, but it really isn't that bad of a job. So, with no further ado, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's get to it. I'm going to use the petcock feature of this brand new radiator, trying to save some of that brand new antifreeze, since we're going to be doing a water pump. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. That little weep hole right there, kind of in the center of the screen there, it is leaking. That is our problem. Actually, you can see a little bit coolant right there, hopefully. Kind of an awkward position to get to it. But yeah, that's what's leaking. Pretty common. That's where they're designed to fail at. So yeah, you can see a little water drop there. So we're going to start taking this thing apart and get into it. I'm going to start by removing the air intake duct. Now, you could probably do this without removing that, but I'm going to remove it. One, to just make it easier, and two, you guys can see stuff a lot better. I got a broken wire there. That's never good. We'll start pulling some of our hoses. I do have all the coolant drained out. This is a handy dandy little tool I picked up a while back. It works pretty good. That there is really tight. That's stuck. These are also some little tools I picked up just for doing water hoses, and they work out pretty good. Stick them in there and work them around best you can. Usually loosens them up pretty good. Just like that. I should put the drain pan down there. I honestly kind of figured all the coolant will be out of there by now. Alright, so when you pull your lower hose for your heater core, you're going to get all your water out of your block. We did drain the radiator, as I said earlier, but your coolant hoses that go to your radiator, they are higher than the coolant ports for the water pump. So yeah, gravity's going to take over. We take off that last hose. I just kind of held my hand over it, diverted it down into the drain pan. That way it doesn't make a huge mess. That should be it as far as now. I'm going to take my coolant sensor out. I'm going to unclip it, unthread it, take my top hose out, and then we'll be ready to take the water pump itself off. And our coolant temperature sensor is a 3/4. See if we can break it. Oh, she's in there tight. Our thermostat bolts are 8mm. Those will have to be moved over to the new water pump. Alright, just like every other water pump that Chevrolet ever made, that should be a 9/16, which it is. About the same bolt pattern as every other Chevrolet water pump. Also, very tight, which I don't like. Ugh. That ain't good. Well, so far I've got 2 3/8 drive ratchets that are jumping teeth that normally don't jump teeth, so that's always a good sign. This is number 3. After this, we'll upgrade to a 1/2 inch drive and probably snap the bolt. Yep. Well, we've upgraded to a 1/2 inch drive. Let's see if we can just break this thing off. I honestly was expecting that one to break, but we got 3 more to go, so, you know, there's always a chance. Oh, that one went really easily. Yep, those did go through a water jacket. I thought they did. And that right there 100% confirms it. Yep. Alright, so all of our bolts are out. This thing's still stuck, which is pretty normal. And it's been on there for a while. Alright, after some further investigation, this one has 6 bolts. I forgot they did on these. I haven't done it in a while. So, yep, you gotta pull all those out first. That one looks to be the one that holds the air pump on. I forgot about that. Yeah, this thing is a little bit simpler than what it is. Still not that big of a job. Yeah, I was hoping it was just like a standard Chevrolet pump. But that's why we make videos like this. So if we can see those bolts there, that one on the left, that's the one we were missing. And coming over to the right side, we got our upper, our lower, our upper, and that's going to be on our smog pump there. Or our air pump is what it's called. So we're going to pull the air pump. So we're going to kind of pull that air pump and just leave it hanging there. You know, hopefully it'll be out of the way just enough to be able to get the water pump by. Those primarily look like 10mm bolts that hold them on. Get past all the wiring here. Yep, 10mm. See if we can drop that coolant we got down there. Take that out of the way, hopefully just enough. Alright, now hopefully I can get you in there. You guys can see that stud there. That's the last one holding our water pump on. Now I'm going to just see about pulling that whole air pump out of the way. There's a bolt there, 10mm, bolt there, and a bolt on the top. I'll just pull them all out and be done with this thing. I almost dropped it in the coolant. We'll let that kind of hang there, hopefully. And we'll get our last 9/16. It's hiding out in there. Alright, we got a little bit of seal broke. I'm going to let it drain. Reason being is I don't want it running all down the distributor. Right now it's running down the block into the pan. If I move that over, if I move the pump out of the way, it's pretty much going to douse the distributor. So we're going to try and keep it as dry as we can. Alright, we are off to a slow drip, so we're going to try and pull this rest of the way off. Find out what other bolts we have holding this thing on. There should be some dowel pins if I remember correctly. It kind of slides onto. Did we ever pull out our other bolt? Nope, sure didn't. We're going to pull that bolt first. That usually helps just a little bit. Alright, now we should be ready to pull it off. Look at that. Amazing. I know. And the gasket stuck to the block. Yay! And there's your distributor, if you didn't know where a distributor was. These cars are pretty famous for the distributors going bad. Knock on wood, I've never had an issue. That is aftermarket. I got that from AutoZone 12 years ago, probably, when I did the timing chain on this car. Now would not be a bad time to service it. We're not going to do that, but yeah, it would be a good time. Really, all you got to do from here on out to do the distributor, take those 3 bolts off, pull your balancer off. You don't have to pull the pulley. And then there's some 10mm bolts, I think right there, and 2 on the bottom, and just pull it out, pop your new one on. It's really not that bad of a job. People make it out to be a lot harder than what it is, but it really isn't that bad. And another thing to keep an eye on, you see right there, that is your cam, well, not your cam seal, but it's driven off your cam, and that goes to your water pump. For lowriders, it's basically just like a key that you'd have in a pump, but a little bit different. But yeah, might want to keep an eye on that, make sure it's not leaking any oil. We do look good, so we're not going to mess with it. Other than that, I'm going to start cleaning off our gasket surface and get ready to put our new pump on. To get your gaskets, you can use a gasket scraper like this, or I've got another style like that. You put a razor in. This one works all right. Sometimes it digs into the metal. That's why I'm using the other one right now. But yeah, when push comes to shove, nothing else will get off. This will get it off. But sometimes you get lucky and stuff goes the way you plan it to, and most of the time it doesn't. So yeah, just take it and scrape it. I'm gonna put you guys down because it's really hard to do with one hand. Yeah, we're just gonna scrape that off, get our maintenance surface all clean, get ready for a new gasket. Yeah, we got our gasket surface all cleaned up. We're ready to put our new water pump in there. There's the back of our new water pump. What I'm gonna do to make life easy on me, I'm gonna put a little bit of RTV on there, set the gasket on there, kind of let it tack up, and then I'm gonna put the water pump on, so that way that'll hold that gasket in place. So I'm one less thing to fight, hopefully. Well, can't find my RTV. So I was just gonna say, screw it, put it on there just with the gaskets, put the bolts through it, fight with it. They only sent 1 gasket in the water pump. Yeah, quality control is really going downhill. So note to self, always check your parts. Note to you guys, I should say, and myself, always check your parts before you leave the parts store. It is happening more and more frequently, apparently. Alright, after looking everywhere, finally found my RTV. Got it slapped on there. Let me go ahead and put this thing back on the engine. Alright, I did do a dry run just to make sure that the gear for the water pump was in the proper orientation, which it is. Which is also kind of nice because it kind of holds everything in position. And those dowel pins do the same. See, I got to line it pretty easy earlier. Now that I'm recording, I'm sure I won't. That's pretty good. Yeah, that booger there, I want to say, was our bottom one. Not that they really matter, but I did have some pretty messed up threads, and we'd like to put it back in the hole that it came from. I said put it back in the hole that it came from. Now, once again, this would be a good time to replace the thermostat. The stock one that I had in this car is a little crusty coming out. You guys seen the video where I did on my black Fleetwood. This is the one that was out of my black Fleetwood. It was in really good shape still, so we're going to use it here. That's why we never throw anything out. We'll pop that back on there. That way we can get that opening sealed up. Put our bolts back in there. Those were a 8mm socket, and tighten those up. Alright, and on the driver's side of the block, we got our little bracket that holds our air pump on. Just goes on right there. Put that nut on. Then we start putting in our other mounting bolts to hold the pump itself on. Put the pump in position. I did drop one of the bolts, so we'll have to go down to the bottom and look for it. Oh joy. Alright, so we got everything back on, got it all filled up with Dexcool. Pro tip, when you're filling up your coolant reservoir, make sure you spill it all over and overfill it. That way you can't tell if anything's leaking. So we're going to go ahead and start it up. We're going to bleed it through a little bleeder valve there, make more of a mess. But once it starts bleeding good and getting all the air out of the lines, I'm going to back the car up and kind of let it sit for a little bit. That way I'll have a fresh spot of concrete that can get wet if there's any leaks. You guys may have seen earlier that the wires broke for this. I'm going to leave it right now. I'm curious to see if it's been broke or if it just broke. So if the car doesn't start and run, obviously there's a problem. But also I can kind of replicate some issues that other people may be having if it has a problem. So that being said, I see coolant on the water pump. So that's not a good start. So we're going to start it up, look for some initial first leaks. Hopefully we won't have any more. Also, we're going to open our bleeder screw. That's 7mm. I don't know why I think it's 8. Yeah, it is a 7. We'll open that up once we get a steady stream of water. It is bled. I'm also going to have a heater on because I pretty much drained everything out of it and try and get any air bubbles out of there. Alright, let's try this again. Got a new hose clamp on the other hose. You would figure I put a new hose clamp on there too. That way they'd all be new hose clamps, but we're not going to do that. We're going to wait till we're on the side of the road to blowing off hose to do that. So, I'm going to start it up. I'm going to hold off on opening that because I want to see it needs to kind of circulate a little bit. Wasn't getting nothing out of it, which doesn't seem like a good sign. But I'm going to let it run for a little bit, and then I'll kind of crack that bleeder open and see what it does from there. Alright, I think we got it all bled out, showing a little coolant. So when it cools off, I'm going to check my reservoir. I did overfill it quite a bit, but there was a lot of air in there also, so I figured it would go down. Hopefully that's the issue here. So let that cool off, check it out, top it off, and hopefully we should be good. Alright, well I got this thing running. I'm going to monitor the engine coolant temperature from the AC controls. Yeah, it's got onboard diagnostics. If you didn't know that already, push up and off at the same time. Hold them for a little bit. Let's try and do that right. Push off and up and hold them for a little bit. You'll see it kind of blank out the screen just like that. And go up to number 8. That'll be engine temperature. And then to enter that little menu, you hit outside temp. And there we go. We got 158. There we go. We got 158. We can kind of monitor it here just to make sure we don't overheat the engine. Alright, so we managed to get this thing bled out. It's not leaking anymore. So yeah, it's running around 180 to 195. It's got a 180 thermostat. That was what was in the black Cadillac. This one had a 195. Might swap it back out. I don't know. We'll see how it does. So far it's working good. It's got good heat. Heated up probably around 170. I start feeling heat out of the vents. So that's good. Better in my black car. But yeah, everything's going good so far. So I'm going to drive around a little bit. Actually, I'm going to pull it forward. Let it sit for a little bit because I still got puddle coming out from where I spilled everything, where I overfilled it. As you've seen, I had to replace a bunch of hose clamps. Should have done that to start with. Buddy of mine come by. He suggested if I'm still having a bleeding issue, I go through the top radiator hose and fill it. So I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was definitely going to give that a shot afterwards if this didn't work. But finally, water started coming out of my little bleeder screw, so we're good there. So that being said, I'm going to leave it here. Remember, you won't know what you can do till you try. Sometimes you have to try a few times to get it right. But, you won't know what you can do till you try. There you go. So we're good. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'm going to go cruise this thing for a little bit. See you.